The following are experiences of the Doors of Your Mind ritual, which is kind of a guided meditation. A guide leads another through their own mindscape set usually as a hallway with numerous doors. Although this ritual takes place purely in the mind, there are still numerous do-nots that may lead to a dangerous outcome. The Doors of Your Mind. The author states that it's pretty simple, and that it's nowhere near as hardcore as the Three Kings, which they say they would never actually do themselves. It requires little, only a friend, a pillow, and a quiet room. It is as follows. You have to dim the lights, light a few candles, anything to put you in a nice meditative state. You need to be relaxed, and be able to have a free mind. This is most important for this to work. The author recommends putting on some comfy clothes, and again, relaxing. They state that the only useful door to your mind is an open one. The next step, lay your head on your partner's lap. They suggest a pillow here. Make sure your head is facing up. Your friend will need to rub both of your temples in slow circular motions, like a massage. It needs to be relaxing. Again, that is the key. Make sure that your friend is keeping a steady tempo. It has everything to do with getting into a trance or a meditative state. Third, your friend will be playing the role of a guide, so to speak. Your mind or imagination will be doing all of the work. Throughout the entire time or duration of this exercise, your eyes will be closed, and you will be relaying descriptive information to your partner about your surroundings and such. Here the author suggests having a third-person recording. Never second-guess what comes to mind. Simply answer your partner's questions without hesitation as they come to you. Just let it happen. Now these are the phrases of the text your helper should start you with. You are at one end of a very long corridor. There are numerous doors on both sides of this corridor spanning the entire length. Now I want you to explore these doors and the rooms behind them. Describe to me what you can see, hear, touch, and feel with great detail. And from there, the exploration is up to your mind. After this, the author writes some tips and warnings. Always pay attention to the door first. This will give you a clue as to what awaits you inside. Note door handles, any imperfections, unusual color, shape, size. Also, the temperature of the door handle may or may not be important. They then warn against clocks. If you go into a room full of clocks, leave immediately, or at least try to. The author doesn't remember the reasoning behind this. They apologize because it was years ago when they first played. All they knew is that it's a big deal. You could stay if you wish, but don't say they didn't warn you. You certainly shouldn't touch any of the clocks either. Just don't say that you weren't told. The author says here that they don't know why a room full of clocks would be bad. Their second warning says this. This isn't going to be helpful, but I remember something bad about seeing old ladies too. They stress again that they don't remember the details very well, but this is just stuff that they remember from hearing it as a kid. Thirdly, they say not all things in your mind are benevolent towards you. I'm pretty sure you know that hanging around here, but they thought they'd remind you. It's good to ask yourself questions. Sometimes these manifested characters can be quite revealing, but other times they can just bring you down. Follow your gut instincts about certain doors. Sometimes curiosity really does kill the cat. Now check what's on your person. Describe what you're wearing. Check your pockets. You might have keys, trinkets, anything you never know. They might be useful in your exploration, or at the very least symbolic. Be forewarned. The author states that they've experienced the inability to remove themselves from this dreamlike state. During one of their door sessions, a character locked them in a room, and their sister had to shake them violently to awaken them. Now, happy exploring. This experience was on the same night as 2 others that I've done. It was our last ritual for the night. We'd done this quite a few times prior to the night. My guide was a friend of mine who wasn't too keen on guiding. He was worried something bad would happen. We had a general list of what to avoid written down on my boyfriend's lap. If he was unsure about something, he could look over and my boyfriend would mouth or nod yes or no, depending on if it was okay to proceed. This list consisted of the following. 1. No black or red doors. 2. No dark areas. 3. No talking to anyone. 4. No going down. Examples being stairs, holes, elevators, etc. 5. No clocks. 6. No metal doors. 7. If it's uncertain, ask the recipient how they feel about the object or door. Finally, my boyfriend and I coaxed him into guiding me, so I laid down, my head on the pillow, and he began rubbing circles on my temples. I began counting upwards towards 100. He stopped me around 70 or so. I guess I was messing up enough for him to call me on it. "Stop," he said. "Are you in a room?" "Yes," I replied. "Describe it." The rooms they usually encountered are large and wooden, like a single-room log cabin. However, there wasn't any windows. There was a wooden train on the floor to the right. There was a toy chest to the left, where the window usually was. And there was a hole in the middle of the floor. "Can you play with the toys?" my guide asked. "No." "What's in the chest?" Toys." "Can you see into the hole?" "No, it's too dark." "I wonder what's down there." "Don't go down there," he said quickly. "Are there any doors in the room?" Yes," I answered, "a wooden one." "Go through the door." Okay, I did so. "Are you in a room?" "Yes, a hallway." "Are there any doors in this hallway?" Yeah, it's a school. Doors to the classroom along the right, windows along the left, and a door at the end, red. All the other doors are white." "Can you go into any of the classrooms?" my guide asked. "Yes, but I don't want to," I told him. "Why not?" "I want to..." I trailed off, but in my head I said, "Go into the red door," though I didn't tell him that. "You want to what?" he tried to clarify. That's when I walked down the long hallway towards that red door. If I looked through the windows to the left, I saw a giant dead tree in the middle of the courtyard. The sky was dark, crows were circling ominous and all that. "Anthony," my guide called to me. I didn't respond to him. I stepped through the door, and at this point his voice was far away, and I couldn't hear him. I could feel him trying to stop the ritual though, but it wasn't working. I found myself outside in front of that giant tree. Oh, it was absolutely massive. High in the branches, it looked almost like there was someone there against the trunk. As I craned my neck to see, that person began pulling away from the tree, and I could start making out features. And he had wings. Yes, giant demonic wings. A mouth impossibly large and wide, filled with sharp, menacing teeth. But other than his mouth, there was nothing else on his face, as though he had a giant flap of skin sewn over his face. And he was heading for me. I turned tail and ran. I headed for the gate of the premises. It was one of those giant wrought iron fences with spikes on the tips. Typical. And it was also locked, not budging at all. I guess at one point I must have said something, because I could hear my guide say, "Climb the gate," and I did. "Run down the street," he commanded. "Hide. Find somewhere to hide." I ran down the street. I found one of those drains on the side of the street in the gutter, and I somehow slipped inside. I could hear him say more, but I said, "Shh," to quiet him, or otherwise that demonic creature would hear. I backed all the way up against the farthest wall from that hole in the ceiling. When that demon thing was gone, or past me, or whatever, I looked around. It was a giant concrete room, and empty. I'd figured it would be a sewer or something, but it wasn't. "Is he gone?" my guide questioned. I nodded in my hypnotized state. "Are there any doors around?" Yes, I told him. "There's a metal one." "Okay, go through it." Now mind you, metal was a no-no, but who cares now? I went through. "Follow my voice," my guide tried to lead me. "You can make it." "Are you in a room?" "Yeah, a wooden one." "Weird." "Are there any doors?" "No, stairs though, and a door at the top." "Okay, go up the stairs and through the door." I did. "Are you in a room?" "Yes, more stairs," I described, "and another door at the top." "Go." "Now, are you in another room?" my guide asked. "Yeah, wooden, no windows, just empty. There's a door with a light on the other side." "Okay, go through that door." I did, and then thankfully I finally woke up. He explained to me that I'd been out for about 45 minutes, when it felt like maybe 15 at the most. My boyfriend had fallen asleep at the time, and my buddy was freaked out. We went to bed after that, and the subject wasn't very happily discussed the next morning. The death warning is serious. If you ever encounter a tall man dressed in black wearing a top hat, don't speak to him. Walk away immediately. A friend of mine got somewhat possessed by the man and started to choke herself when she forgot to chant the protection phrases. Before this happened, she said she let him into the world on accident. When I asked how she knew, that's when I felt his menacing presence. It felt as if I was blacking out, though I wasn't. After I regained my wits, that's when the frightening possession began to manifest. We've done this ritual game before, and the only people who saw the man was my friend Jazz and the later-to-be possessed girl. I asked them both to draw the man away from each other, and they both ended up drawing the exact same thing. I still have the girl's possession recorded, and the drawings they did. I played this game last year with a group of my closest friends, and the only reason I think it had worked so well is because I was so extremely tired, and I've always been more vulnerable to these kinds of experiences, along with the paranormal. Anyways, the rhyme you're supposed to say as the person goes into a trance is, "Red door, yellow door, any other color door." After my friend had been repeatedly saying that, I sank deeper and deeper until I was in a room. It was made of a brown, almost dead-looking wooden interior with 3 doors in front of me. I knew there were other things in the room, but I didn't pay attention to them. I saw the red door, and then the yellow door, and I'm pretty sure I saw a purple door. They instructed me to go through the purple door, and I did, which led me out into a long corridor that had the same kind of wooden walls. There were 3 doors on each side of the hallway, and a rolled-out red carpet that led down some steps. So I was told to go down the hall and down the stairs, which ended up with me leaving a house that I apparently been inside of. Mind you, one of the warnings, which I then later learned, was to never go downstairs. Anyways, I was out in a neighborhood, and I remember the sky being like a violet light blue, like right before a storm, but there wasn't any rain coming. So I walked down the street, and it was dead quiet, and I remember all the houses being boarded up, like the windows and the doors, so you weren't able to see anything inside. After a minute or so of walking, they told me to stop in front of a house. This one was smaller, and when I approached the window, I could see my reflection, but it was strange, like my reflection wasn't me, but another person. They told me to try entering through the window because I said the door was locked, and I was able to open it and go through. Looking around, it was entirely empty, but it didn't feel like that. I had noticed a staircase leading up at the far corner a few feet away. They told me to walk up the stairs, and I did. Going up the stairs, I just kept getting this eerie feeling in my stomach. Once I reached the top of the stairs, they told me to keep going, but I couldn't, because it felt like there was someone there. Turning my head, I looked down, and at the bottom of the staircase was me. It was me, but she had this frightening, awful, impossibly giant smile on her face, and she had a large knife in her hand. I was absolutely terrified beyond words, as I was frozen in my place, like I literally couldn't move. And then she started coming up the stairs. That's when the girls woke me up. This was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life. There were tears pouring down my face, and I never played that game again.